there is a specific feeling you get around certain people. Not quite discomfort, not quite distrust, but something between the two. A low-level unease that your conscious mind cannot fully justify, because by every observable measure, this person is being perfectly pleasant, is saying all the right things, is performing kindness with a fluency that should be reassuring and somehow isn't. And the reason your nervous system is sending that signal while your rational mind is telling it to stand down is that your nervous system is right, and it is detecting something that your rational mind has been trained by social convention to overlook, which is the specific, documentable, psychologically meaningful gap between what this person is expressing and what they are actually feeling, between the warmth they are performing and the calculation underneath it. And today we are going to go inside the psychology of fake nice people completely, not to make you paranoid about everyone who is pleasant to you, but to give you the precise psychological framework for understanding what fake niceness actually is, where it comes from, how the brain detects it below conscious awareness, and what it tells you about the person performing it, that their performance is specifically designed to prevent you from seeing. Let's begin with what fake niceness actually is at the psychological level, because it is not simply lying, it is not simply manipulation, it is a specific relational strategy that psychologists identify within the broader framework of what are called pro-social masks. Behaviors that perform the external signals of positive social orientation while serving internal goals that are fundamentally self-protective or self-advancing rather than genuinely other-oriented. Research by social psychologist Roy Baumeister on impression management demonstrates that all human beings engage in some degree of self-presentation that is strategically rather than authentically motivated. We all adjust our behavior to manage how we are perceived, and the difference between normal social tact and genuine fake niceness is not a difference in kind, but a difference in degree and in the specific psychological function the niceness is serving, because the fake nice person's warmth is not a modulation of genuine feeling for social purposes. It is a substitute for genuine feeling deployed for strategic purposes. And the substitution is comprehensive enough that the authentic emotional response has been functionally replaced rather than merely adjusted. The psychological origins of fake niceness are almost always rooted in one of two distinct developmental histories. The first being the learned survival strategy of a person who grew up in an environment where authentic emotional expression was unsafe, where being genuinely known was reliably dangerous, and where the performance of pleasantness was the psychological adaptation that kept the peace and maintained access to the care and approval that all children require, which means that the adult who is fake nice is not a cynical manipulator, but a person running a protective program that was written in childhood and that has never been examined or updated because it has never stopped feeling necessary. The second origin is the more strategically conscious pattern that psychologists associate with what the dark triad research identifies as subclinical narcissism: the use of performed warmth as an instrument of social influence, the specific deployment of niceness as a tool for extracting compliance, favorable treatment, and social advantage from people whose goodwill has been identified as useful and whose niceness toward you is in direct and precise proportion to their assessment of what you can do for them, which is why it tends to disappear so completely and so quickly the moment that assessment changes. And the reason your nervous system detects fake niceness before your conscious mind does is one of the most remarkable findings in the neuroscience of social cognition. Research on microexpressions by Paul Ekman at the University of California demonstrates that genuine emotion and performed emotion produce subtly but measurably different facial configurations, different timing patterns, different correlations between the expression and the body language that accompanies it, and that the human brain processes these differences automatically and below conscious awareness, generating the specific feeling of unease that you cannot quite explain around people whose niceness doesn't reach their eyes, whose warmth arrives slightly too quickly, whose concern disappears slightly too completely the moment the audience changes. And that feeling, however difficult it is to justify to your rational mind, is your social cognition working perfectly, reading the gap between the performance and the performer, and telling you with complete accuracy exactly what it sees. Subscribe for more mind secrets.